When I first stepped onto campus, it felt like the beginning of everything I'd ever dreamed of. New buildings, new faces, new chances to prove myself. Yet, at the heart of it all, there was Ethan, my boyfriend since high school, the one person I thought would anchor me in this unfamiliar world. We had promised each other that distance wouldn't matter, but the truth was, distance came in more forms than miles. At first, we clung to each other. Lunches in the cafeteria, study dates at the library, late-night calls when our dorms felt too quiet. But as weeks turned into months, our schedules began to clash. Ethan threw himself into pre-med courses, drowning in labs and late-night study groups. I pursued literature, spending hours with classmates who spoke more passionately about poetry than he ever had patience for. Slowly, our overlapping hours dwindled, and in the gaps between them, silence grew. It was during one of those long afternoons in the library that I met Liam. He wasn't loud or showy, just a guy leaning casually against the circulation desk, waiting for a book to be checked out. When he glanced up and caught me staring, he smiled, and something about that smile disarmed me. Later, I discovered we were both in the same introductory philosophy course, and from then on, our paths seemed to cross almost effortlessly. Conversations with Liam were easy. He didn't rush to fill silences but seemed to understand them. He asked about my writing, about why I loved stories, and he listened with a kind of focus that made me feel larger than life. With Ethan, our talks had become clipped, revolving around deadlines and obligations. With Liam, I felt seen, as if every word I spoke carried weight. At first, it was harmless, or at least that's what I told myself. We studied together, sometimes in groups, sometimes alone. He had a way of sliding jokes into serious discussions, lightening the air without dismissing the importance of what was said. I found myself laughing more in his presence, something I hadn't realized I missed. Each time my phone buzzed and his name appeared on the screen, a quiet thrill ran through me, one I buried beneath the excuse of friendship. The first time Ethan noticed, he didn't say much. He simply asked who I was texting, his voice too casual, his eyes lingering on me a second longer than usual. I brushed it off, just a classmate. But inside, I felt a flicker of guilt, one I quickly smothered by reminding myself that I wasn't doing anything wrong. After all, a conversation wasn't betrayal. Then came the night everything began to shift. A philosophy study session had stretched late into the evening. Our classmates filtered out one by one until only Liam and I remained, surrounded by stacks of books and the soft hum of fluorescent lights. I should have left. I knew it even then, but he leaned back in his chair, grinning, and said, "Guess it's just us." We talked about more than Plato or Aristotle that night. We talked about the weight of expectations, the fear of failing the people who believed in us, the loneliness of pretending everything was fine. His voice lowered when he admitted how isolated he sometimes felt. My chest tightened, not just in sympathy but in recognition. I felt it too, though I hadn't dared to say it aloud to Ethan. Somewhere between laughter and confession, the space between us shrank. His hand brushed mine as we reached for the same book, and I didn't pull away. The touch was brief, innocent enough to be excused, but heavy with something neither of us wanted to name. When the library announced its closing, we packed our bags in silence, both aware of what lingered between us. Outside, the campus was hushed, the pathways lit by soft pools of lamplight. He walked me back to my dorm, neither of us speaking much, but the air between us was charged, as if a door had been cracked open and neither of us knew how to close it again. At the entrance, he paused, his eyes locking onto mine, the unspoken thick between us. For a moment, I thought he might lean closer, that the night would end in a way I wasn't ready to admit I wanted. Instead, he smiled faintly, whispered good night, and walked away. I stood there long after he left, heart pounding, knowing that nothing had happened, and yet everything had changed.